but it's almost like it will soften you up enough, because the way it will become a scientific endeavor for you, which is that, okay, in order for me to imagine something new that is possible, like to find some new theory that will encompass all the other theories plus more explanations, you first have to allow yourself to ask the question, okay, is this possible? So you make a conjecture. To make that conjecture, it's almost like a creative moment where you're just like, okay, what if fill in the blank? And then you test it. So you have to still go like, okay, what if this? Then okay, then that would have to be true. Is it true? Oh, interesting. Kind of does. Okay. So then you kind of map it in exactly the same way you would map something with a scientific theory. You say, okay, can I allow for a second that there is this like force that I've never encountered, never felt, or never that people talk about?
Mm-hmm.
Can I allow for maybe people are not idiots or fools, but I was missing something? Can I allow for that? Maybe the answer is no currently. If the answer is maybe, okay, test it. See if you can test that thing, like all the different techniques of manifestation, like
Mm-hmm.
the one that I mentioned, also Nadi, with the like you kind of imagine yourself doing something and you say, please deliver me there safely. When you're there doing the thing you imagine yourself doing, refer back to yourself sitting on the couch, envisioning yourself and saying, thank you for delivering me here safely. It takes seconds, costs you nothing. You can test this, and the hypothesis is, here's the thing you're testing, it should amplify the level of manifestation quickly. Like the second you do that, you communicate to yourself this way, but don't just think about it. Like try it. Try it
Yes.
again. Nobody knows you're doing it. You're not going to look like a fool, and it costs you nothing to do it. Try it. If you're truly of the scientific mind, try this 3, 4, 5 times. See what happens. If things start ramping up in a crazy way, and you're like, dude, what? That's great. Like things all of a sudden aligning for you in a crazy
Mm-hmm.
way. Okay, that's a hint that something is working, or at least you're now paying attention to something, right? Do that more. Add elements that you don't expect to see there. See if that happens. You can play with it. You can actually test it. It's testable.
Well, that's yeah. If we can't test it, then it's just it's just a belief,
Yeah,
and we can believe anything, and,
exactly.
and people do believe all sorts of things. But
There's
what
as
does it
many
what does it
theories
do
as
for
there are
them?
people.
So I noticed, just from kind of watching you, have conversations and things like that, and just kind of your overall attitude, I get this sense initially. I was like, "What is it about Danny?" I was like, "Well, a couple things. He has this non-seriousness, which I like. This is a great sense of humor, always ready to drop a laugh, and then and another thing is fearlessness. And I'm
Fearless.
I'm not sure why I get that. Well, I know why. And part of it is why, just because of your willingness to go into the space at such length and depth so many times, and that there must be a quality of fearlessness that accompanies that sort of sojourn.
It's interesting you mentioned this. This was voiced to me a few times now, and I don't know if I necessarily think of it like that. I mean, obviously, it's nice to get a compliment, but I'm always trying to stay on the the honest side of what it is, right? So, somebody once told me in the live chat, the first time I think I've ever heard this, they said, "I don't understand where your confidence comes from," and they said, "I don't mean this like in a derogatory way. Like I
Hmm.
truly do not understand where you get this confidence from." And then I actually had to think about it because that was a very interesting comment that I never
Yeah,
really thought about. I think it has something to do with I'm actually aiming towards knowing what it is true regardless to what others think. So I'm not so interested in winning arguments, which I
mm,
definitely was when I was younger. I'm actually interested to know what in fact is true about this particular instance. So I would do everything to even voice my own uh, not surenesses in real time,
sure.
because that's the way I can honestly tell you, hey, here's what I think, but also I'm not sure about this. And then if I know I'm truly coming at it from a very honest perspective, there's literally nothing I have to keep track of. There's no track
Transparency.
because
Yeah,
I'm not trying to play a game. So when
right.
somebody's it's really interesting to watch some of the stuff that is happening now with like some of my, I guess what you would call detractors, the people that kind of think that what I'm saying is nonsense or whatever it is, which is completely natural, of course, and it's normal. But what happens very often is that they would talk about me and they would never reach out to me. where, and I was like, I'm like, this is so interesting. What is happening in somebody's mind where they think that just by talking to the person they disagree with, they must think that the game is being played. Because if they think there's an honest interlocutor, there would be no reason to not just talk to the person directly, right? And I realized that very often I think people play that game of trying to hold frames or win, score points. It's nice to have what you believe to be true vindicated in that form or another. Of course, that feels good in the body. It's an automatic dopamine spike. Everybody likes that. But it feels a lot better to actually feel free of any kind of situation where you really find yourself kind of acting out of bad faith because you were holding on to some idea. And that can be, that's a lot more painful. I learned the hard way. That's a lot more painful to get that pulled out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like from the get-go, you go, hey, here's what I think I discerned. Here's what I don't know for sure. And there's something that when you go about things that way, and it takes some time to go about it that way, until you reach a state where you really trust your own process. So you know that when you arrived at a certain thing that your brain is now calling knowledge, like it's actual knowledge, there's really nowhere to go there but up. So people can build on top of it, but there might be some points where it's like a weak thing that I never thought about, so it will like pull it down a little bit. Oh, great, now we found the
But then
ground.
it'll correct.
Exactly. Now we corrected course and now we're proceeding. And there's a lot more power in collaboration than there is in competition. It was a necessary stage in human evolution to get to a certain level. Now that we have these incredible opportunities to connect ideas in person and all of this stuff, this is why one of the things I'm really trying to encourage more and more, which is that every time I enter any scientific circle to have a conversation, I'm trying to encourage more of that because I'm noticing that a lot of scientists are afraid of one another. They're very spiky. Like, it's a very spiky world. They're like constantly trying to dunk on each other. And I'm like, it's like, how much more would you be able to achieve if you come in with a positive emotion towards one another and say, hey, here's what I noticed in your work. Did you think about doing it like that? Because I think you're trying to do this, but I actually think that this is a better way. It feels so much better for everybody involved, and there's a positive like surge of wanting to create that can create the progress even in the scientific world in a way that if you just literally dunk on each other from your own offices never ever seeing each other and just like typing all day on the keyboard, actually it was like, dude, just have a conversation. It's going to be a lot more productive. And I do notice that there are some people in the scientific circles that adopt more of that attitude, and it's beautiful. And I am noticing that the ones that don't, I don't think they realize, but they're a dying breed. And it's just it's gonna fade out of the picture. It's just not how the world wants to operate anymore. And since I don't see how you can possibly lose when you're trying to bring others into your circle and work on things together, I guess that's the thing that it produces this oh, we're chest up, let's go, this is fun. Instead of constantly worrying who's going to find something wrong with what you said. It was like, okay, cool, let's correct course.
It's interesting that you said competition versus cooperation, right, or collaboration, and that's something I've been contemplating that for a long time now, and just like every time it comes up, I think, well, competition on a certain level is good. Obviously, like if we want to get better at sports, you want to be competing against teams that are bringing out the best in you, right, and causing you to stretch and all that kind of thing. But still, it should have the essence of some camaraderie, right?
Yeah. Animosity shouldn't be there. Like you
Yes.
don't need animosity to play good football. You need some aggression, but those are not the same thing.
True,
Right.
true. And so I'm just wondering because, it bringing me back to this quote that you said that you are never doing what you don't love ever again. Because I see a lot of people, they're going after their goals. They're trying to create, whatever it is they're doing, but they're doing all sorts of things that they don't like and they are not enjoying the process.